Tonight, troubled route, Taran Thomas facing a suspension of up to 18 matches. Tom Morris with the exclusive details.
The mushroom lunch survivor opens up to parishioners and gives the homicide squad his side.
12 hours in, demonstrators hold firm atop a Baywater factory, claiming it manufactures parts for Israeli jets.
The teenager accused of scamming a war vet out of thousands to buy a new phone, gift cards and ice cream.
The Eltham mum who went into labour at the Taylor Swift concert and stayed.
And back on the horse, Olympian Shane Rose cleared over his mankini mishap.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley and Tom Steinfort.
Good evening. North Melbourne's Taran Thomas is facing almost a year on the sidelines following allegations of inappropriate behaviour.
Our chief football reporter Tom Morris broke the story of Thomas's lengthy suspension and joins us now. Tom, take us through the AFL's decision on this.
Tom, as we go to air tonight, the league's official line is the investigation remains ongoing. But I understand the AFL Commission has determined Thomas will receive an 18-week suspension. All that's left is for Thomas and his management to be formally notified, plus North Melbourne. This hasn't happened yet. Now, Thomas has not been at the club since mid-January as these allegations were investigated. And today at Arden Street, his teammates were not too keen to weigh into the controversy.
You're disappointed about Taran Thomas's suspension, mate?
Oh, I can't comment on anything at the moment.
An 18-week suspension, that's massive, isn't it?
Just ask the media team in there, they'll be able to say.
Are you disappointed to hear about the fact that Taran's possibly been suspended, mate?
I haven't spoken to Dawn, so just chat to the media manager.
And this punishment, which I expect to be announced as early as tomorrow, is the culmination of what really has been a turbulent 12 months for Thomas. His career, which promised so much, is now hanging by a thread. When Taran Thomas was taken by the Kangaroos at pick 8 in the 2018 draft, both the club and recruit could foresee nothing but an exciting future.
Officially now making him a shin boner, so welcome him to the footy club.
Indeed, Thomas's brilliance throughout the midfield justified the optimism.
Taran Thomas has got 4!
But off the field, Thomas's life was unravelling. Last February, he was suspended for serious and confronting threats to a female. Suddenly, Arden Street, under new coach Alicia Clarkson, was attracting mass media attention for all the wrong reasons.
Is it a good look for him to be training with you guys today?
Soon after, Thomas was at the centre of more controversy when video of a dangerous driving incident emerged online, only to be deleted. In July last year, a reprieve for Thomas, a charge of threatening to distribute an intimate image, was dropped. Instead, he was ordered to donate $1,000 to charity.
Are you relieved that this won't be on your criminal record?
But on January 17, 9 News revealed details of more allegations of a domestic nature.
Taran, do you think you have a case to answer today?
Leaving Thomas's career in limbo once more. That 18-week suspension, however, threatens to end his career altogether. Tom Morris, 9 News.
The lone survivor of the mushroom lunch that claimed 3 lives has finally broken his silence, addressing his local church. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris can reveal Pastor Ian Wilkinson has provided an official statement to the homicide squad.
He's the key witness, and despite his loss, Pastor Ian Wilkinson continues to display his unwavering faith.
Let me encourage you to keep on going. The way is sometimes hard, but God is good.
9 News can reveal Mr Wilkinson has provided homicide detectives with a formal statement and is continuing to work with them as they investigate the 3 deaths. The pastor emotionally addressed the Corumburra Baptist Church last Sunday, honouring his late wife, Heather.
And yesterday was our 45th wedding anniversary. At the start of the week, was 6 months since Heather and Gail and Don went to be with the Lord.
It's not easy for him to be on his own in the home. He has to cope the best way he can. But it's nice to see him doing the service.
The now 70-year-old even drew laughter from the congregation.
Does anybody remember our series on Genesis that we began last year? It was dramatically cut short halfway through Genesis chapter 2.
Cut short after he, his wife and in-laws ate a beef Wellington dish suspected to be laced with toxic mushrooms in July, allegedly served by Erin Patterson, who was arrested in November and charged with 3 counts of murder, attempting to murder Ian Wilkinson and attempting to kill her estranged husband, 4 times. Miss Patterson has spent nearly 4 months behind bars as she awaits her next court appearance in May. The mother of 2 has always maintained she's done nothing wrong and says she's grieving too. In Currumborough, Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
Palestine activists are refusing to budge after scaling the roof of a defence manufacturing facility in Melbourne's east. As Mimi Becker reports, they've damaged windows and graffitied walls during their day-long sit-in at the Baywater factory.
8 Palestinian protesters in a drawn-out standoff with police. The building damaged with graffiti and smashed windows. Flares let off as the group, armed with banners and supplies, sent a message to stop the export of weapon components to Israel.
Rosebank is the sole global supplier of a part for the F-35 Striker jets used by Israel.
Their ongoing fight of frustration to others.
Everyone else out here working, they're stopping people, they've sent staff home, people have got families to feed. And these guys are doing absolutely nothing.
The group climbed on the Rosebank engineering factory roof around 6 o'clock this morning, but police were focused on keeping supporters away. 9 hours later, the first arrest. A protester handcuffed and questioned as police revealed some supporters had managed to get away.
They've damaged machinery, they've damaged windows and walls and other equipment inside.
Officers adamant they weren't going to intervene, instead using drones to film the group.
We've tried to communicate that it's unsafe on the roof. There are areas that contain asbestos. The roof is prone to them falling through it.
The protesters had no interest in dealing with police. So the CFA was called in, but a cherry picker couldn't entice the intruders down.
The longer we stay, the less parts that are being made for the F-35.
And so far, it's 12 hours and counting.
Well, let's go live now to Mimi at the Baywater standoff because, Mimi, you've got some breaking news.
Tom, it looks like things are starting to ramp up here and the protesters are in negotiations with police. Fire Rescue Victoria have put up a cherry picker and one is just beginning to be taken over. This is the first protester to come down after a long 12 hours on this roof. This is the first significant movement that we have seen with these protesters today, but police say once they get all 8 protesters down, that won't be the end of it. Then the interviews will begin and they do expect to charge these protesters in relation to the damage and trespass. But police say they have hours of CCTV and they expect to make further arrests than this today, Tom.
All right, Mimi Becker there live as that unfolds. Thank you.
Well, Taylor Swift has loved us and left us, jetting out of Melbourne after 3 record-breaking concerts. But as Nathan Curry discovered, one young mum will have lifelong memories after giving birth straight after attending the show.
Anyone who was lucky enough to be at one of Taylor Swift's shows will have a tale to tell. But Tennille Smith and her new daughter may have the best.
I was going into labour at a Taylor Swift concert.
The now mother of 2 went to Friday night's concert despite having contractions. And by halfway through the show, she realised the baby was coming.
I could feel the contractions coming on. Told my husband to pick me up at the G at 11. Unless I was fully going into labour, I was staying.
Fittingly, her daughter has been named Sloane Taylor.
One day I'll take her, so next time she's here.
It's yet another incredible story from the weekend. Tay-Tay took over the city.
Melbourne, you're the love of my life. I cannot believe you. Where have you gone?
The pop star made the call on stage during the final show of a record-breaking 3-night stand.
Those are all the biggest shows I've ever played on a tour.
The feeling is mutual, with accommodation providers enjoying soaring occupancy rates.
88% on Friday and Saturday night and 74% on Sunday night. That's rarefied air.
The superstar singer also took to social media to thank the Swifties who came to her MCG shows, thanking them for the memories they'll revisit often. Despite the love affair, it was a swift exit this morning as she boarded a private plane to head to Sydney for 4 more sold-out shows. A severe thunderstorm delayed her arrival, though, perhaps helping Melbourne maintain its status as her favourite Aussie city. Melbourne certainly moves on quickly. VIP and merchandise tents are now being packed away to get Yarra Park ready for the MCG's first AFL game of the season on Thursday, March 14. That's just 24 days away, and the MCG is wasting no time dismantling the massive Eras tour stage and getting the turf ready for AFL action. as the city's big run of events continues.
We go from the tennis into Taylor Swift. This weekend we've got Pink, and of course we've got the Grand Prix to look forward to.
Nathan Curry, 9 News.
Teenage pranksters have targeted a tram on Flinders Street, throwing eggs at unsuspecting commuters. Eliza Rugg is following this story. Eliza, police have located them. What punishment are they likely to face?
Well, Tom, nothing at this stage because, interestingly, police have told us that no offence was detected. That is despite them responding to reports that these teenagers were throwing eggs at a tram on Flinders Street during this morning's peak. Officers arrived shortly after. They said they spoke with the teens and they moved the boys on without incident. Now, no one was injured. No formal report was made to police, but it is a very different response to another prank 2 weeks ago in the city. That is where a Melbourne grammar student allegedly threw milk onto women on a hire boat on the Yarra. He then posted that stunt to social media. Now, in that instance, police vowed to investigate. They also called for witnesses to that incident to contact Crime Stoppers. So 2 very different responses, Tom.
Eliza Rugg there, thank you.
A request from Western Australia tonight for more patrols to intercept boats carrying asylum seekers or illegal fishing crews. Labor Premier Roger Cook made the call as an ugly clash over our border policy broke out. Here's Charles Croucher.
In our largest state with its huge coastline, tonight a plea from Perth.
We need to have a greater presence on those coastlines. It's a vast coastline.
Western Australia's Premier addressing Cabinet today as more than 35 asylum seekers spent their first full day on Nauru.
The reason the boat got there is because the government has suspended or cancelled surveillance flights. That's the problem.
Peter Dutton will continue to be a cheer squad for things that actually undermine our borders.
Surveillance flying time is below current targets, despite concerns people smugglers are adapting their methods for faster drop-and-run style voyages.
I tell you the other thing they do is that they market comments from someone like Peter Dutton, who's a former minister, who knows exactly what the impact of these comments are.
Well, I just think if we stick our heads in the sand and pretend that nothing's happening here and just take the Prime Minister at his word, we'll end up with an armada of boats.
Under the previous government, boats also made it to Australia. We didn't make a big deal about it because we know that you are helping the people smugglers when you do that.
Today, an unrelated freed detainee faced court over breach reporting conditions. The argument over asylum isn't new and it isn't edifying, but it is still politically potent.
Are these people on temporary protection visas? No, they're on Nauru. People who arrive by boat get sent offshore.
I can tell you now, you start getting those boat arrivals here, I'd say his government's all but over.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
A stonemasonry business is the first in Victoria convicted of workplace manslaughter following the death of a young subcontractor. His family was overwhelmed with emotion when a judge ordered it to pay them compensation on top of a hefty fine. Court reporter Amber Johnston.
The Sorales family leaving court $120,000 richer, but at what cost?
The accident's had a very, very devastating effect on our client's family. It's been very profound. I mean, they're never going to be the same again.
LH Holding Management, the company responsible for the death of their boy Michael, convicted and fined $1.3 million.
Anything you'd like to say at all?
Its director, Laith Hanna, silent as he left court after admitting his actions that day were negligent. Pictured here operating a forklift at his Somerton warehouse, moments before it tipped over, crushing the young subcontractor.
Employers need to stop and think.
The court heard that's what Hannah failed to do, ignoring usual forklift practices by holding the load too high and too close to the 25-year-old. Justice Croucher making it very clear, had those steps been taken, Michael wouldn't have been killed. The family hopes today's sentence will pave the way for change, with their son's death the first in Victoria to be dealt with under the state's new workplace manslaughter laws. WorkSafe said this prosecution is a clear reminder to duty holders of the serious personal and financial consequences they face.
The $1.3 million fine seems pretty high, And I think that hopefully deters.
Hannah has also been placed on a community corrections order where he'll need to complete 200 hours of volunteer work and a forklift safety course. The judge telling Michael's family no sentence will ever reflect the worth of their son's life. Amber Johnston, 9 News.
Olympic equestrian Shane Rose is jumping for joy after he was cleared of any wrongdoing for wearing a mankini in competition. The risque outfit was meant for fun, but a spectator took offence, putting his Paris Games hopes in jeopardy. More from Damien Ryan.
You may not recognise Olympic show jumper Shane Rose with his clothes on, because he's the man in the mankini who's left one fan in the equestrian world choking on their pimps.
I didn't hear anyone say anything negative, but unfortunately somebody took offence.
Others had a laugh.
That's Australian.
Made famous by Borat.
No, it is not a joke.
Rose trotted out the skimpy costume.
How long to get ready? He's got nothing on.
I can never unsee this.
For a show-jumping fancy dress competition at the weekend in New South Wales.
A lot of my friends are there and they're all laughing. Oh, my God.
But Equestrian Australia wasn't able to see the funny side, forced to act on the single complaint, standing down Rose from competition pending an inquiry.
If I've overstepped the mark, I'm sorry for that. I didn't mean to offend anyone.
Shane Rose taking his 3rd Australian Olympic team medal.
And late this afternoon, his pursuit for a 4th Olympic medal in Paris was back on track. After Equestrian Australia ruled the 50-year-old was in the clear, it's also reviewing minimum dress standards for future events.
I think everybody wanted to see a resolution very quickly.
Whether you like it or not, the sport of equestrian has an elite status. Maybe a little stuffy and for the upper class, but one rider in a mankini may well have helped break that stigma.
Holy Moses, all right.
Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Can't have been comfortable.
I've never worn one, so I couldn't take that. But 295 days until the Christmas party, so you never know.
Hey.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Coming up, we'll speak with the young Magpies who've been thrown a footy lifeline. At Punt Road, the news isn't great for this Tiger. Injury has come early. Ryan Mansell speaks exclusively to 9 News.
A little bit flat, but yeah, it's a long season, so I'll just attack rehab if I have to, the best I can.
Also in footy tonight, Clayton Oliver, the day after his footy comeback.
Also in sport, we're live from the NBL's MVP Awards night, and I'll be joined by one of Australian basketball's biggest names.
Or to it. Thanks, Nat. The Demons' hellish day against Sinner and tributes for one of the true greats of the turf. That's all coming up a little later on in sport.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Tony. Don't want to see you at the Christmas party, though, if that's the... Yeah, when 9 News returns, the Melbourne war veteran who has been left with nothing. A teenager accused of stealing thousands from Shane using a Netflix scam.
The vandal caught on Tesla cam keying vehicles in shopping centre car parks.
And a special honour... A man accused of a luxury car scratching spree has faced court. 34-year-old Nathan Abella was arrested in Sydney last night after this video was released. Police allege he keyed 3 Teslas, an Audi, a Mercedes and a Volkswagen parked outside shopping centres.
A 71-year-old war veteran has been left with nothing after he fell victim to an elaborate Netflix scam. A teenager has since been charged, and as Neri Tai explains, Shane Arnold is fighting to get his money back.
At just 19 years old, Khalid Mahmoud is accused of allegedly pulling off a sophisticated scam.
What do you want to say to the victims who've lost their life savings?
War veteran Shane Arnold lost $18,000.
I've worked for 50-odd years to get that money. He took it within a day.
The 71-year-old thought he was entitled to a refund after receiving a fake Netflix email and after entering personal banking details.
I felt like my heart had been ripped out.
The accused scammer gathered enough information to call the following day, allegedly posing as a security officer from Commonwealth Bank.
Extremely convincing. He spoke in a posh like English accent.
Little did the grandfather know he was allegedly speaking to a teenager from Braybrook whose voice was disguised with AI.
We then said that your account's been compromised.
Shane was ordered to put his bank cards in a bag to be collected by a driver. Hours later, the accused allegedly withdrew thousands of dollars from ATMs in North Melbourne, Braybrook and West Footscray, purchased dozens of gift cards from Kmart.
What happened to all of the money?
He filled up at Ampol and treated himself to a strawberry milk drink and Magnum ice cream, also allegedly splurging on a new iPhone at High Point.
We had nothing to live on for a fortnight.
Well, the court case has just started. Shane has been fighting to get his money back. He claims his bank is partly to blame. He's since lodged a report with the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. Shane claims Commonwealth Bank has only offered to reimburse him $1,000. CBA said Mr Arnold's case is currently being managed by AFCA.
The banks and the businesses are starting to put the onus back on the victim to say, well, you authorised the transactions.
But soon it'll be more clear cut with the federal government introducing a new scams code.
Where was the failure here? How did this scam get to the customer in the first place? And what, if anything, should the telco reimburse? What, if anything, should the bank reimburse?
I hope all those people who've been scammed get their money back.
Neri Tai, 9 News.
4 people were struck by lightning near the Sydney Opera House this afternoon. A 36-year-old couple, a woman in her 20s and a 19-year-old man were standing under a tree when they were hit and knocked unconscious. They were taken to hospital with burns and are now in a stable condition. 75,000 lightning strikes were recorded in just 3 hours, tearing a hole in the main runway at Sydney Airport, causing lengthy delays. Alexei Navalny's wife has shared a loving tribute for the first time since her husband died in an Arctic Circle prison. She posted a picture on social media of the two of them together, their heads touching, with the words, "I love you." People continue to lay flowers at a monument in Moscow, paying their respects to the Russian opposition leader.
At least 26 people have been killed in a massacre in Papua New Guinea. Police say they were shot in the Enga province. It's believed one tribe was on its way to attack another when they were ambushed. The killings are a significant escalation in the area's tribal fighting.
British cinema's Night of Nights has lived up to the hype. Hollywood stars and royalty lapping up the BAFTAs limelight in London. Blockbuster Oppenheimer dominated the ceremony, taking out 7 categories, and Michael J. Fox received a standing ovation as he presented Best Film.
The state opposition is pushing for an investigation into Victoria's energy network in response to last week's devastating storms.
But the inquiry needs crossbench support to get up, or it could have a power failure all of its own. Laura Turner reports.
Just under 5,000 Victorian homes are still in the dark tonight, and the opposition leader says the Premier should be shining her own light on Victoria's energy network problems, but she's not.
That her government would conduct a root and branch review of where we're at, why previous warnings have not been acted upon.
John Pursuto is proposing an upper house select committee study the lead-up and fallout from last week's storm, which destroyed 6 transmission towers and thrust more than 500,000 homes into darkness.
Victorians have every right to expect secure, reliable and affordable power.
But the coalition is going to need the help of the minor parties to get the inquiry through the House.
Very prepared to talk to the minor parties about the precise terms of reference.
Even if this inquiry does get up with crossbench support, it won't have the power to demand the Premier attend, or for that matter, any of her ministers. The state government says Energy Safe Victoria is already investigating, and this is a stunt by the same Liberal Party that sold off Victoria's power stations, transmission network and distribution network to private for-profit companies. Labor also under pressure to reveal how much money was wasted through contractors rorting timesheets as part of the Metro Tunnel build, but there's no clear figure yet.
Obviously, what is alleged to have happened, and indeed in some cases been found to have happened, is completely inappropriate.
Laura Turner, 9 News.
Melbourne advertising guru Harold Mitchell will be farewelled at a state memorial. His family has accepted an offer from the Premier, but details of the service are yet to be finalised. Mitchell was a supporter of the arts, sport, education and health, Jacinda Allen describing him as an extraordinary man. He died earlier this month after complications from knee surgery.
Livinia joins us now, and Livinia, it's been another mild sunny day.
It has, Tom. Once again, early cloud cleared and the summer sunshine made up for another cooler than average day. After dipping to 17, the city peaked at 22. But while we're enjoying mild conditions, the heat in the west of the country has ramped up even further. Yesterday, Carnarvon hit 49.9. That's the 8th highest temperature ever recorded in Australia and the 2nd highest in February. Nearby Shark Bay Airport hit 49.8 and Geraldton had its hottest day since records began in 1877, 49.3. Here in Melbourne, temperatures are set to rise over the coming days, but I'm pleased to say nowhere near that level.
Well, that is good news, Livinia. We'll see you a bit later on. Ahead in 9 News, Melbourne on the brink of a homelessness crisis. That is the warning as rents spiral. Up next, the suburbs recording the biggest jumps.
Surprising research into the use of chatbots to replace psychologists.
And we'll reveal why this cow received a blessing from Pope Francis.
Early voting is underway in the Dunkley by-election, a crucial test for the Albanese government following its decision to revise the Stage 3 tax cuts. Polling has Labor on track to retain the Frankston seat, previously held by Peter Murphy, who died of cancer in December. The coalition has promised nearly $1 billion to electrify the rail line to Baxter.
The rental market is being described as a slow-moving train wreck, with some Melbourne suburbs recording increases of as much as 55% in a year. If the issue isn't addressed soon, analysts warn widespread homelessness could follow. Chris Kohler has more.
Renters were described as facing a crisis, but analysts now say it's getting much, much worse.
It's actually been a slow-moving train wreck.
Social media is awash with videos of long lines and desperate applicants. Not only is competition fierce, but prices have jumped 10% nationally in a year.
We've got an acute housing shortage across the country. It is hitting the capital cities. It is also hitting our regions.
Some suburbs are reporting astronomical increases. The cost of renting a house in Altona, for example, has rocketed 54% in the last year, jumping by $228 a week. Units in Carlton have also surged 54%. In other words, $210 extra per week. Those massive increases are also being seen in Donvale, up nearly $280, while renters in Bentley East are also paying nearly $300 a week more than they were a year ago. And anyone looking for a unit in Keilor East or Brunswick East are stuck paying $186 and $170 more.
It's not just affluent localities. It's also standard suburbia.
9 out of 10 rental agreements are for 1 year or less, so almost all renters have been facing regular cost increases, and the task of finding a cheaper place to live has been getting harder. Advocates are calling for caps on rental increases.
That's really urgent. Countries all around the world have limits on what a reasonable rent increase is. 50% is not a reasonable rent increase. We need to do something about this.
And with a federal election slowly entering view, calls from renters for help will likely grow louder. Chris Kohler, 9 News.
2 policemen and a firefighter have been killed after responding to a domestic incident in Minneapolis. A man armed with multiple guns opened fire on them from several levels of a home. The firefighter had been providing first aid to an injured officer when he was shot.
There was a special guest for the Pope's Sunday service at the Vatican, with a cow receiving a blessing from the pontiff. The animal was brought to the Mass as part of the European farmers' protest as they demand fair prices and stricter import controls. It is no longer the stuff of science fiction. Millions of people around the world are now seeking mental health therapy from an AI chatbot. Surprisingly, psychologists are largely on board with the idea, which could soon become common practice here in Australia. Jane Azzopardi explains.
We're getting used to artificial intelligence in many parts of our lives. Now it's entering our mental health space. Apps and chatbots programmed by psychologists filling the gap between supply and demand.
The challenge is that there simply are not enough trained mental health professionals on the planet.
Meet Lindbergh, your personal therapy assistant.
In the UK, AI-powered psychology is already part of the National Health Service. 250,000 patients are using a bot called Limbic to get access to or support between appointments.
From the moment that we launched the app on our website, our referral rates have gone up by 32% and our access rates have gone up by 32%, which is incredible.
Limbic is the first point of contact for a patient, sending them to the right service. Private clinics use the app between appointments, helping clients through guided therapy, regular mood checks and crisis detection. Millions of people all around the world are right now using a chatbot called The Psychologist. It asks questions, thinks about its response before engaging with you further and offering advice. In effect, it's like having a therapist in your pocket whenever you need it. This app was designed by a psychology student. Experts warn it's not a substitute for professional help, but can augment it.
At 3 o'clock in the morning when something's on your mind, to be able to get some coaching around it from an AI bot or to get access to information that is relevant to you based on your profile is incredibly useful.
In Australia, many psychologists are optimistic about AI, but say the government needs to step in with some regulation around ethical standards before it arrives.
It will come, and I think it'll be with us in the next few years.
Jane Azzopardi, 9 News.
Still to come, car enthusiasts all revved up. Australia's best-selling models have been crowned.
Residents escape a raging inferno in Ballarat.
And can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Because Elmo and friends are coming to a suburb near you. Residents fled a unit block in Ballarat when fire broke out this afternoon. Emergency services called to the property on Bell Street just before 2:30. It's unclear what sparked the blaze, but thankfully no one was injured. A building inspector is now assessing the home for structural damage.
To money matters for you now, and property companies slumped on the market today while banks rose sharply. Chris Kohler has the details.
It might have been a steady day on the market, but there were some clear winners and losers. Developer Lendlease was smashed after warning of lower profits ahead, a rough 14% sell-off. And A2 Milk was the star of the day, surging after announcing bigger profits than expected. Westpac also impressed investors. Both its shares and ANZ are the highest they've been in more than 2 years. And petrol retailer Ampol hit record highs after announcing a solid result. Interesting there to see the majority of the fuel it's selling at the moment is premium. So it seems that drivers aren't skimping on their cars despite the cost of living pressures. And the Aussie dollar was buying 65 US cents and 60.7 euro cents today, slightly higher to start the new week.
Drive's best cars for 2024 have been announced, judged on price, safety and fuel efficiency. The Hyundai Kona took out the small SUV under $50,000 category. The top electric vehicle, also under 50 grand, went to the MG4. The Ford Ranger was crowned best dual cab ute, while the Kia Carnival is #1 family car under $80,000. Overall, Australia's top car will be announced next on A Current Affair.
Sesame Street will soon hit the suburbs in real life, with Elmo and friends joining the circus. And as Alan Rascal explains, everyone's favourite red friend and his mates can be a handful, especially for the poor ringmaster.
It's Elmo's circus dream.
To do something amazing and keep in here racing and hear the crowd cheer from below.
Those sunny days are sweeping the clouds away. Some of your favourite characters from Sesame Street running away to join the circus. And being a circus, there's lots of show-stopping circus acts. Show star in awe of what's on offer. Did you like that act? The story starts with Elmo's bedtime story about the circus, and as he drifts off to sleep, he's magically immersed into his dreamtime circus. At a secret location, the team's been hard at work in rehearsals, all under the watchful eye of ringmaster Michael Keane. Do they get up to a bit of mischief?
They do. Elmo is quite cheeky, and Grover is always playing on a motorcycle. Unbelievable.
How do you pull them into line?
I use my very loud ringmaster voice.
Tickets start from $34.95. The show opens in Preston tomorrow before heading to South Morang, Narre Warren and regional Victoria. So why not come and play? Everything's A-OK and ask Elmo and all his mates the question on everyone's lips. Alan Rascal, 9 News.
All right, time for sport. Tony Jones.
Thanks, Tom. Get my head around that one. After the break, where to now for Taran Thomas? Chief footy reporter Tom Morris will join us live. From rugby league to the AFL, the beautiful moment this new Tiger told his mum. A familiar face puts an end to the Demons trophy charge, and the big-name basketballers slam dunk it in the Fashion Stakes. As we reported earlier in the news, North Melbourne's Taran Thomas is bracing for an 18-week ban from the game. Nine's chief footy reporter Tom Morris broke this story earlier today, and Tom joins us again live. Now, purely from a football perspective, what are the ramifications to all this?
Well, Tony, there's a reason why North Melbourne selected Taran Thomas with pick 8 in 2018. There's a reason why Matthew Lloyd on Wide World of Sports Radio tonight described Thomas in the top 3 most talented players at the club. He's clearly highly rated. Essendon wanted him last year, even though he was in contract. Now, that deal didn't get done, but he was due to come out of contract at the end of this year. Now, he's on about $600,000 a year at the moment, give or take. In 2 years, when he was due to become a free agent, he could have been paid upwards of $100,000 a year, even $1 million a year with the CBA going up. So he was clearly highly rated, not just by North, but also by Essendon, which is what makes it so difficult purely from a football perspective. Now, North Melbourne need to weigh up whether they want to keep him on their list because he's out of contract at the end of the year, and he's clearly at his best a very good player, but there's a lot of other factors at play. Taran Thomas himself would be highly sought after at another club if he's playing good footy and out of trouble off the field. He's in trouble off the field, so there's no certainty he can continue elsewhere. If this is an 18-week ban tomorrow, or whenever this week, he won't be available to play until round 20 at the earliest, which will give him 4 more games at most in North Melbourne colours before determining his future. So there's plenty on the agenda for North Melbourne to think about once this suspension is handed down, and also for Taran Thomas and other clubs as well. But either way, Tony, there's implications all over the AFL as to whether Taran Thomas is going to play on beyond 2024, and that's disregarding all the off-field stuff that's going on as well, as we reported earlier. All right, Tom Morris with that live report there. Thanks for that. More footy, and Richmond's best-laid plans for Ryan Mansell have been upended after the forward was diagnosed with a nasty ankle injury. The Tigers already ruling him out of the club's trip north to face the Suns in opening round. He spoke with Trent Neese.
Despite triumphing over the Demons in the first hit-out of the AFL pre-season, one Tiger is about to take on injury demons of his own.
Didn't feel too great, but I tried to go back out there and just didn't want to risk hurting it even more.
Richmond forward Ryan Mansell diagnosed with a syndesmosis injury, the club confirming today he'll miss at least the start of the season.
A little bit flat, but yeah, it's a long season, so I'll just attack rehab if I have to, best I can.
In more positive news at Tigerland, the club handed Kiwi-born Makelti Lafau a rookie contract. The 26-year-old full of emotion as he told his mum.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, Mum. Love you, Mum.
I was pretty shaken up before. Just obviously like a roller coaster of emotions and all that, and just so much pride and all those sort of feelings.
A former rugby league star, Lafau admitting he hadn't watched footy until he moved to Australia when he was just 12 years old.
I know about the sport, but nothing actually in it. Like, I didn't know how they played it. I just knew that there was Australian rules.
Across town at Collingwood, 3 new pies were officially unveiled. Josh Eyre, one of them, despite being ruled out until late April with a torn hamstring.
I really thought it was over, to be honest, in that exact moment, but the club got around me. It was quite overwhelming.
Clayton Oliver was showing few effects of yesterday's bruising encounter, the midfielder politely declining an interview request as he targets a practice match with Carlton in late February. And at the kennel, Jack McRae is still no certainty to take part in the Dogs' pre-season matches. The gun midfielder working with the main group for part of training before joining the rehab group for running drills. Trent Neese, 9 News.
Well, the NBL is about to hit finals mode, but only after dishing out awards for the season's best tonight. Nat Unides is live from the red carpet. Nat, there's also a real Olympics buzz there.
Well, Tony, it's only fitting that we speak to a man that's been to 3 Olympic Games, Melbourne United star Matthew Dellavedova. Delly, thanks so much for joining us. You finished the regular season top of the table, but guessing you're not going to have much of a chance to let your hair down tonight.
No, it was good. Obviously, regular season, it'll be fun to catch up with some other people tonight that I haven't seen in a while, but we're definitely looking forward to the playoffs.
2024, a huge year for basketball with the Olympics coming up as well. Just how comfortable are you that you've done everything in your power to make sure that you'll be on that plane to Paris?
I mean, there's still a lot of work to do, but obviously a great young squad, and definitely want to be a part of it.
And missing out on that World Cup squad last year, how much has that served as motivation over the last 6 months?
I mean, I never need any more motivation to try to represent Australia, but I'll definitely be doing everything I can to be on the squad. Yeah.
And finally, your teammate Chris Goulding, he's up for the Andrew Gaze Trophy tonight. Do you like his chances?
Yeah, he's been huge for us all season. He's had an amazing year. Dino for Coach of the Year, Shilly for Defensive Player of the Year, and IC for Sixth Man of the Year.
I like it. There you heard it here first. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And Tony, of course, Bryce Cotton is the favourite for the MVP tonight, but our very own Chris Goulding is up for the award. Promises to be a cracking night.
Looks like it. All right, good on you, Nat. Thanks very much for that. Well, to tennis, and Alex de Minaur believes he's taken another big step despite being humbled in the final of the Rotterdam Open by Yannick Sinner. The Aussie fought hard against the Australian Open champ and certainly had his chances.
It's a jaw-dropping exchange.
In the end, Sinner proved to cut above, winning 7-5, 6-3, but was full of praise for his rival.
It's better if we see each other on the same side playing doubles than playing against, but you're one of the kindest guys on tour.
The Italian has now jumped to number 3 in the world. Very Elegant is tonight being remembered as one of the country's most decorated horses after the champion mare and her foal died following complications giving birth in Ireland. Among her wins, the 2020 Caulfield Cup, then the Melbourne Cup a year later.
The darling of the turf has raced clear 3 lengths instead of those, and it's Very Elegant, 10 Group 1s, and now the greatest of them all, the Melbourne Cup.
In a statement today, trainer Chris Waller said, "We all saw the courage she had on the racetrack over many seasons, and she'll never be forgotten by those close to her as well as the wider racing public." Very Elegant finished her career with 11 Group 1 victories. And I'll see you tomorrow night.
Thanks, Tony. All right, let's go back to Livinia now. We have some warmer weather from tomorrow, Livinia.
That's right, Alicia. The city's forecast to be 6 degrees hotter than today, and the heat is set to ramp up even further on Wednesday and Thursday. I'll have the full 7-day forecast for you next. Hello again. The city's had its 6th day in a row in the low 20s. It peaked at 22 this afternoon. It was quite a mild night through western suburbs with minimums of 17. A lot cooler in the northeast from a low of 9. Yarra Glen warmed up to 26 this afternoon. It's been another day in the low to mid-30s through northern parts of the state, but most locations through the south peaked in the low 20s. Sydney was hit with severe storms earlier today, more than 75,000 lightning strikes around the metro area and some pockets of heavy rain, and train services have been impacted. In the top end, ex-tropical cyclone Lincoln continues to move towards the coast. There is a chance it will reform as a tropical cyclone when it moves over the Indian Ocean. But areas south of that system have been experiencing extreme conditions. You can see the heat difference. Some locations nudged 50 degrees yesterday. The heat will increase over Victoria over the coming days, and if we look ahead to Thursday, this is the one to watch. It'll be our hottest day. There'll be strong, gusty northerlies. There's also the chance of storms, which could ignite bushfires. The Mallee, Wimmera and Northern Country districts are likely to be under an extreme fire danger rating. Perth has yet another hot day on the way tomorrow, 39 degrees after 2 days in the 40s. Hot in Adelaide as well, 33. Cloudy skies for Hobart, but a mild 25. 26 in Canberra and Sydney, and once again thunderstorms are likely. 29 in Brisbane with showers and storms. Back home, areas north of the ranges are heading for the low to mid-30s again, but it will be warmer than today through the south, mostly the mid-high 20s. Showers are expected through central and eastern districts, along with the chance of thunderstorms sparking up in the afternoon and early evening. It'll be another slightly cooler than average night across Melbourne. There'll be fog about the nearby hills during the morning, then daytime temperatures are expected to be 4 or 5 degrees higher than today. Northern suburbs should reach the 30s, 30 or 31, mostly the high 20s elsewhere. 25 degrees at Ferny Creek, and there's likely to be a few showers or even a storm through outer eastern suburbs, but only a slight chance elsewhere. Geelong could have a foggy start to the day ahead of a partly cloudy top of 27 and after a low of 16. The city is heading for a partly cloudy top of 28. Then a couple of days in the 30s, 33 on Wednesday, 35 on Thursday ahead of a cool change. We could get some moderate showers around dawn on Friday, then a top of 20, 20 again on Saturday, 21 on Sunday, 22 next Monday. We can expect our warmest day in a week tomorrow. After dipping to 16 degrees, the city's forecast to reach a top of 28 and some even warmer days after that.
Sounds great. Thank you, Livinia. And that is 9 News for this Monday. Ali is next with the current affair.
We hope you have a great evening. For now, good night.